Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. We need a picture of that.
Those are mine. Please don't lose those. Good evening, good evening, good evening. The time is now 5:30 p.m. and I am calling to order our board meeting scheduled for November 17, 2022. Let's see here. All right. And for our first item this evening, I would just need a motion to adjourn to executive session.
We have to do roll call. Mr.
Oh, I'm
President?
so sorry. Norma, could I please have a roll call for this evening?
Yes. Mrs. English,
She is not with us this evening.
Ms. Frazier,
Here.
Mrs. Salazar,
She will be joining us a little bit late this evening.
Mr. Williams,
Here?
Ms. Michelle Wills Hill,
Here.
Ms. Naija Ali,
She is excused this evening.
Candelora Dionisi.
Here.
Very nice. Thank you. All right. And item 1.2 to adjourn to executive session, and I would just need that motion.
Mr. President, I move that the board enter into executive session pursuant to CRS 24-6-4024F to discuss a personnel matter, and more specifically to discuss a personnel matter concerning the superintendent's evaluation and contract.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Wills Hill, second by Ms. Frazier. Those joining us in executive session would be myself, Corey Williams, Vice President Janice J.J. Frazier, and Madam Secretary Michelle Wills Hill. And I believe Dr. Claudio will be joining us as well. Thank you. All right.
Do you need to vote?
We don't have that, do we? It is not on there.
Mm-mm.
And we will vote to enter into that executive session. Norma, would you go down that roll call for those that are present with us, please?
Ms. Frazier,
Aye.
Mr. Williams,
Aye.
Mrs. Wills Hill.
Aye.
Thank you.
All
It
right.
passes.
For those three, so moved. I don't need the gavel for that. Good evening, good evening, good evening. The time is now 5:56 p.m. The board is reconvening in regular session after 11 minutes and 32 seconds in executive session. Norma, would you please take a roll call? We have another board member joining us.
Ms. Frazier?
Here.
Ms. Salazar?
Here.
Mr. Williams?
Here.
Mrs. Wells Hill?
Here.
And Ms. Unicio?
Here.
Very nice, thank you. Again, good evening, everyone. I would like to thank you all for joining us this evening. Members of the public who desire to address the board on any topic related to board work must sign the roster to the back of the room there just before 6:30 p.m. Appreciate you all for joining us today. All right, and after reconvening, item number 2, we have our Pledge of Allegiance and reading of our mission statement. This evening, our Pledge of Allegiance will be read by Miss Autumn Jones, and our mission statement by Elijah Ortiz. The floor is yours. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very nice, thank you.
I just start with this. So, graduated college and career-ready students with the knowledge, skills, attitudes, and behavior to the personally success and contribute to the common good.
Very nice. Thank you, Mr. Ortiz. Gotcha. And for those two students, Ms. Jones and Mr. Ortiz, I have a few items up here for you guys, and if you'd like to come take a picture with me, I'd love it.
Mr. Williams, everyone's gonna join you, even if they're not getting up like they are.
I kind of need this. All right, everyone smile. Thank you.
All right, and to the business part, item number 3, to adopt our agenda, and I would just need a motion.
I move to adopt the agenda.
I
for this-
second.
Motion by Ms. Frazier, second by Mrs. Salazar. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we have ourselves a meeting. And item number 4, showcasing schools. We have with us this evening Guyberson Elementary School with Mrs. Lorna Bresky, the principal, and her assistant principal, Mrs. Vicky Potter. And the floor is yours, ladies.
Okay. It's your turn. Good evening, Board President Williams, members of the board, and Dr. Burr Hansel. Thank you for having
Hold on, 'cause it's not recording.
We're going to make sure your mic is up.
It's got a green light.
You should be good now, Ms. Bresky.
Okay. Good evening, Board President Williams, members of the board, and Dr. Burr Hansel. We are excited to present the great things that are happening at Guyverson Elementary. I'm going to take a minute to introduce everybody who is presenting tonight. I have Mrs. Vicki Potter, who's our assistant principal. I have Miss Ariel McPherson, our school counselor, Lindsay Norwood, one of our instructional coaches, and Bernie Wilson, another instructional coach at Guyverson. To begin with, Guyverson Elementary services about approximately 300 students, depending on the day, and you can see the demographics that we have listed here. We have 48 team members, 33 licensed staff, and 15 ESP who work every single day to meet the needs of our students. I am going to introduce Mrs. Vicki Potter, who's going to discuss our strategies and our UIP. Thank you.
Good evening. We were just talking about how nervous we are. I'm like, I could be at Zalman in front of like 200 people and not be this nervous. Maybe it's all my bosses just like looking at me. Sorry. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to begin by talking about, these are our improvement strategies that were on our Unified Improvement Plan. We have, first of all, we want to reduce the number of students with a significant reading deficiency. Unfortunately, we have a little more than 40% of our students that have a significant, so that's a lot. We're not very happy about it, so that's why we target it on our UIP. Let's see. We also want to raise overall academic achievement in reading and math as measured on CMAS. So just generally, even if students aren't on an SRD, we still just want to bring up all of our scores in reading and math on CMAS. We also think it's very important to increase the social and emotional well-being of our students and staff. So this is the first year that we brought in Capturing Kids' Hearts, which was pretty appropriate because we spent all morning since like 8 o'clock this morning in here with Mark Hatchell doing our Capturing Kids' Hearts training. So this is the first year we've had it in our building. We really like it. We've really noticed a difference because we're doing the practices, so we're seeing a big difference in like the culture and the climate of our building. The kids, they just seem happier, they seem more engaged. So it's nice. We're doing a lot of the meet and greet at the front door, the meet and greet in the classrooms. So that's adding a lot to the beginning of their day, the good things which opens their days, with talking about just some quick good things that are going on in their lives. So we really enjoy that. Next, we're going to talk about our literacy plan. Because we talked about the amount of students that are on, that have a significant reading deficiency, we also thought it was important to look at our first good instruction and not just intervention. So we're really focusing on what that first good instruction looks like, ensuring that kids are doing a lot of critical thinking, that they're engaged, that they're talking, it's not a sit and get, that they're really involved in the teachers' discussions with them, the questions, which will tie into something else that I'll talk about in just a minute. We also realize that it's really important to ensure that that we're getting and giving good feedback on our small group literacy. For example, our ECRI routines. We have been working with our district coordinators, Laura and Melissa. They've come in, they've modeled for us, they've worked with our teachers, they've worked with Lorna and myself. We've actually taught some of the ECRI lessons. We've had recordings where we've gone over them. We just want to make sure that we have those routines down solid and that everybody's doing them consistently to ensure that all kids have access to those. And then the reason why we put the increase on our instruction on vocabulary up there is because, for example, we work a lot with iReady for just one example, and one of our lowest kids or areas for our students was vocabulary. So it's embedded already in the Wonders curriculum and the Wit and Wisdom curriculum, but we wanted additional, so there's other steps that we do to boost our students' vocabulary. We have a real big push to make sure our students are spoken to and that they speak to us in complete sentences. And we also do like a word of the day, which is we pull vocabulary from curriculum in different places, we focus on it, and we added, we make sure that when our teachers are using that routine, that they're doing the 4 domains. So the kids are listening, speaking, reading, and writing about the vocabulary. So they'll write it out, they'll do a definition that's relativity or related to their life or to real life. And then they do a little picture about it, and they do antonyms, synonyms. So they do a lot of things like that to build their vocabulary. Okay. Right here, we thought this was really important because it aligned with the district's equity plan. So we don't just ensure that we utilize assessments, we ensure that we utilize high academic achievement assessments. So the PDSA, for example, Acadiance Reading. For Wit and Wisdoms, we have the question sets, the unit assessments. For Eureka, we have Equip and the topic quizzes, PCRs. We do all of those things to ensure that the data that's being looked at is across the board equitable, that all students have equitable access to taking the same assessments. So when our teachers are bringing that data from all of their assessments, they're talking about the data in the PLCs, in their team meetings, they're using this data to inform their next steps for instruction. So that's why we thought that was really important. It is a school-wide professional development that we have, so that we're all working on that as an entire school. So we're all moving in the same direction.
Very nice.
I'm going to introduce our school counselor, Miss Ariel McPherson. Do you want this up still? Okay. The down arrow. The down arrow.
All right, so as Ms. Potter has said, sorry, I have to move it, I'm really short. As Ms. Potter said, one of our goals is social emotionally based, so capturing kids' hearts is the #1 tier 1 way that we're really focusing on that. We had a 2-day training for all staffs to be trained in that, and that's literally everybody from the cafeteria staff to janitorial to ESPs, principals, instructional coaches. So everyone was trained in this, and we were really focusing on several key components for capturing kids' hearts to really make sure their social emotional wellness for our students is considerably better, and for our staff as well. So one of the big things that we're doing is really greeting our students so that they feel welcome and invited, and like this is a space that they want to be in, because we know when our students feel safe and welcomed and wanted, they can really focus on their learning. So every day they'll walk in through the front doors, our principals will greet them anywhere in the hallway. So if I'm walking the hallway, I'll always greet them by their name, how are you doing, and literally everywhere. Our nutrition staff are greeting them, so everywhere in the entire building they're being greeted. At their doors, the teachers are expected to welcome them, fist bump, high five, do you want a hug, so they feel that connection. And we know that's really important for student learning, that relationship, so they can really focus on that. So we're really grateful that we have that tool in our place. Right immediately in the morning, we also do good things, so they could really focus on the positives that are happening in their lives. So even at school, we're just going to be like, okay, what are some good things happening? All right, I have breakfast this morning. I got to pet my dog. It's so amazing. So we're really focusing on those good things, and that really helps our staff also to be like, okay, what are some good things happening in my life, even though all this chaos is happening. So that's another great thing that we're doing. And another big thing to really help us overall is our social contracts. So these are expectations that are created by the students and the staff, which is really wonderful, because these are the things they say they want. They want to be treated kindly. They want to have calm conversations with one another. They want to really focus and listen during those times. So we really focus on that. It's school-wide. Every teacher, every grade team has them. So it's really wonderful. When there's violations of those social contracts, we have those conversations like, hey, I was really talking, we weren't listening. That's a violation of our social contract. Like, what's going on here? And it's really reduces the anxiety of our students when we implement those things. Other things that go along with the social contracts, we have the listed rewards. So when you're following those expectations, you know what you're going to be getting. You're going to get dojo points. You're going to get the Roar Store prizes. You're going to get house points. So all those different pieces. And at the same time, when there's those violations of the social contract, they know what consequences they're going to get. Okay, I'm going to get a reminder. I'm going to be asked these questions. All right, I'm going to get a minor incident report. And that means maybe my parents called and they're going to be involved in this, whatever's happening. So we're really trying to make sure that our students feel supported. We understand what's happening in their lives so we could support them and help them really focus on their education. So, all right, we're bringing up, yes.
Sorry.
You're
I
all
wanted
good.
to ask before we got out of this. So capturing kids' heart, is that the name of the program? And
Yes.
what is the objective of that?
The objective, my brain, blink, go ahead. Go ahead, Laura.
So yes, the company's name is Capturing Kids' Hearts, and the objective is to provide social emotional well-being for students and staff, and make sure that everybody is comfortable being in the space that they're in and feels safe to take risks while they're learning. So all of these strategies that we put in place that she's spoken about are to reduce anxiety and to create a welcoming environment so that kids and staff are ready to learn.
Okay, thank you. It still
You're
doesn't
welcome.
make a connection for me, but I'll research it a little bit more.
Okay.
Alrighty. So on top of all the supports that we're providing students in the classroom, we are also offering opportunities for our staff to expand in building leadership. So we have quite a list of leadership opportunities that staff are able to participate in and support each other with. Our building leadership team is comprised of most of us, but then also one teacher from each grade level, so that we can come together, we can discuss the UIP, we can talk about building specific issues, and get people's opinions and things and feedback. Lorna can get feedback from us to see how we can bring that to our teams. Building or just having a leadership person on each team is also really important because it helps spread the word. So each team leader or each team lead can kind of be the point person who knows the information that we have discussed in those meetings and bring that back to their grade level team. Are we okay? You good? I was like so concerned. We also have our MTSS team. So this is a team of people that meets about once a week. We are tracking where students are at in their growth journey, if they need extra supports, if they need interventions. We have a way of keeping track of where they're at, what they've been provided, what interventions are working, what's not working, and how we can troubleshoot for that, contacting parents, making sure that we're working with teachers so that they are also aware of the things that we are needing to do for those students who need interventions. We have a culture and diversity committee. So we also do something monthly to kind of bring awareness to different differences in our student body. We have done assemblies for Hispanic Heritage Month, Black History Month. There's been different types of stories that we have done on student disabilities. So it usually involves some sort of literacy connection. So a teacher might read a book to their students, and then they do a discussion or a project or a writing piece on that, and then we can display that work. A lot of the times also our Title I family nights have to do with some of those things. We've done holidays around the world and different opportunities for people to just see what's around and what they might not be familiar with. And then I know that a lot of these for PBIS committee is one that we also meet on at least about once a month, so to talk about what are we doing. Capturing Kids' Hearts does tie into that because our school-wide processes are focused on positive behavior supports. We do use Class Dojo. We keep track of the different skills. We have 8 different character traits, and we kind of track how students are doing, what they're getting points in. Are they getting points in respect? Are they getting points in teamwork? And then where are the areas that we might need to support and get teachers to start noticing or have students start working on different character traits. And we do one character trait every month. And the team kind of helps us gather the data, collect, and see how it's going and what we need to work on. We do have a reading committee, a health and wellness team, and we meet with the district about once every month or so just to bring back what the district is asking us to do, but then also giving our staff and students challenges like the Walktober challenge, things like that. So we're helping people kind of get a little competitive on it sometimes. It's kind of fun. And then we have our sunshine committee, so we just want to kind of improve that staff morale, and we'll pass around buckets around Halloween or go and have like a monthly after school type thing and just see how people are doing. All right. And then I'm also going to speak about our extended learning opportunities. I have been at Guyberson, this is my 9th year, and I think this year is the first year that I've seen this really, really take off. We have a lot of teachers who already have full plates who are taking after school or before school opportunities to extend students' learning. And it's really cool to see because they're making connections from what they're working on in class to be able to help expand and connect with those concepts that they know. Tutoring is an option usually before school. We have a student leadership committee that's through the counseling department, so there's students who are able to help each other grow, and we have leaders for that. There's an honor choir, we've got a Lego club. Minecraft club is this is the first time we've had one of those. We use Minecraft education, and we have students building labyrinths, or they'll have a different theme every week, and it's really cool to see them because they're great at, a lot of them know the game already, but then it's always connected to some sort of learning standard and what exactly, mathematical concepts, those kinds of things, because they're 3D modeling and all that. It's really cool to watch them because they're better at it than me. We have a chess club, and there's also that's kind of combined with a board game. It's all about strategy and seeing the kids work together, figure out what their strategy is going to be instead of just haphazardly throwing things around. Art club, we have Fuel Up to Play 60, which is through the NFL, and that is just encouraging students to get 60 minutes of activity every day. It's kind of an intramural sports, but then we talk about nutrition, and we talk about, teamwork, sportsmanship, that kind of thing, and it's cool to watch them apply those skills. Girls on the Run is also kind of an outside organization. They do a 5K once every semester, so they work themselves up to running a 5K, and they're going to run it on Saturday, no matter how cold it is. The next club, I like to brag on this one just a little bit because I had students approach me and ask if they could lead a club. And my comfort level at first was like, whoa, I don't know about that. But I've actually had 2 students who are leading a drawing club. They created their own characters. They wanted others to learn about it. So I have about 10 kids. 2 students have been leading it, showing them how to draw it, and then helping them create a story with a setting and a problem and a solution. And it's been great to see that they created their own idea. They approached me, they asked about it, and then as soon as I said yes to them, now I have lots of students asking to lead clubs, which I'm really excited about because I think that's something we could continue doing. We've got a craft club. We just finished the GES, the Hoopsters League. That was very cool to see. Competing against other schools, that was great. And then we have our Yes Club, which is through the Catamount Institute up in Woodland Park area. So, thank you very much.
And then we have community involvement. So we are working on our school being involved in our community and the community being involved in our school. So this year was our 3rd Good Neighbor Pancake Breakfast that we had. So where our staff comes in on the weekend and we cook breakfast for our community and we invite them in. So all of our families, all of the neighboring houses around our school, everybody is invited just to enjoy that pancake breakfast. We've also been doing the fall festival. So we actually, the past few years, we've been doing like a mock pumpkin patch in our field for our, I think it's like kinder through 2nd grade, or kinder and 1st grade. But this year we decided that we wanted to welcome all people into our school. So we decided to put on a fall festival for all of our students, and we had games and provided food and everything for our families to enjoy. And then we also have the spring carnival, which we've been doing for some time now, where families can come in again, enjoy games and stuff like that. We had the Veterans Day celebration, which was really cool. We brought in a bunch of veterans, honoring our veterans that work at our school. But a bunch of veterans came in and they shared different types of uniforms that military wore back in like World War II, which was really cool. The kids got to try them on. That was really interesting and ask questions about that. So that was really fun for them to engage in that. We have family literacy nights. We actually have one coming up in December where all of our grade levels right now are reading the book, The Lemonade Wars, and they're all going to do an activity based off of that book. So that will be happening in December, which is next month. We have our book fair, CLDE family nights. Another one that's really big is the 'Cause I Love You group, the Christian House of Prayer. They've come in and done a lot of stuff for our teachers during Teacher Appreciation Week. So they've come in and we've decorated all of our teachers' boards with little cute sayings and things just to show that they're appreciated. And they have been supporting us for a few years now. We have Cool Science. Career Day was another fun one. We had people in the community that have come out and spoke with some of our with students. So we've had artists, we've had firefighters, we've had a radio DJ that came in that just spoke and was able to answer questions to all of our students that had any.
And then we also celebrate our students and our staff and do a lot of recognition. We do have Student of the Month. Our students are recognized based on the character traits that our teachers are teaching, so it's one trait a month. And then we recognize students who exemplify that trait. We have recognized our students through the Gifted Expo. We have an Artist of the Week that our art teacher posts on our dojo messages, and sometimes it goes out on Facebook. We do academic awards for students for achievement and for growth, and then we also have a program called the Writing Masters, and that's where we are recognizing the top students in every grade level, the top 3 students of every grade level through a writing competition that we do. And then staff recognition, recognizing our Teacher and ESP of the Year. This year, Lindsay Norwood won the Golden Donut Award for developing our gifted program. And then our Girls on the Run also recognize our staff as part of one of their community events that they have to do through the program, and so they provided our staff dinner. Really enjoyed that. And that's it. Do you guys have any questions for us?
Well, good luck on that run on this weekend. I have not had to run in that type of weather in quite a long time. Ooh, man. I love to hear the leadership that your students are taking on, especially leading their clubs. That's awesome. That's how we start to build our community leaders much younger than they are now. I love to hear it. Love to hear it. Thank you all for coming to see us this evening. It's been amazing. We might be able to get you guys out of here before the snow sets in, and you guys can start prepping mentally for that run on Saturday. Does anybody else have anything to add this evening?
I just want to say I attended the neighborhood breakfast, and it was great. Pancakes were very good.
Yes.
I am a proponent of the Girls on the Run. My daughter actually participated in that program, and it really gave her a lot of self-worth, building her self-esteem. So I'm just excited to see that continue on. Of course, she graduated from high school 2 years ago. But still, I think all those things that were planted in her with those experiences, she's carrying into her adult life. So one of the things I want to ask, 2 things. Number one being, have you seen, because of all of the additional efforts with social emotional learning and leadership training and the welcoming in the morning, I'm sure that that's kind of given them, the students, the feeling of belonging more so. So how does that translate to relationships, and also I would assume not seeing as much like disciplinary measures have to be implemented as much, because you've established trust, and that's what I'm thinking, but I want you to tell me that for sure. So that would be my first question. And then how has the amount of student engagement increased because of all of these efforts?
You know, I think starting on the first day of school when we were at the doors and saying good morning to kids, they were kind of like, good morning, good morning. like, and now it's good morning and it's great to see you, and they'll say it's great to see you too, and we give each other affirmations. What it's done is it's allowed the students to have a voice in the classroom, especially with our social contract that we build. So greeting them and recognizing every student who walks in, it allows them, some of our kids, when we say we give them a fist bump at the door or whatever, some of them will act like they're going to shake a teacher's hand and do like this. And so you see a lot of personality come out and fun with it. But then when they're in the classroom and they're creating the social contracts, that's where their voices start to come out, because it's not just the teacher in the classroom, it belongs to everybody. And you ask 4 questions of the students when you're doing the social contract. And the first question is, how do you want to be treated by me as the leader? So the teacher will ask the students that, and they get to talk about how they want to be treated by the teacher. And then they provide words that go with that question. How do you think you should treat me as the teacher? And now they have to reverse. So now it's them treating the teacher, and and then how, what was the third question? How will we treat each other, especially in you talk about how would you treat each other if there's conflict, and they talk about words that they would like to see. So you put all these words together, and you talk about, when you're writing the social contract, it's just really like a brainstorm document, and you write all the words that the students have come up with, that the teacher has come up with. And then as the kids talk about, well, we think to this question it's respect, or it's being kind, or it's treating each other with calmness, or it's showing each other like we're not going to have put downs in our class. We're going to show effort. We're going to participate. As the words repeat, you put little check marks by them, and then everybody agrees that this is our contract, and they all sign it. And this is how they agree to treat each other. When you use that social contract on a daily basis and you remind students of, this is the social contract, this is where we are, some of our kids will talk with teachers about, if a teacher might say, teacher timeout, because everybody uses the same teacher timeout. If a teacher is saying it too loud, they might tell the teacher, we have to be calm. Don't forget, we have to be calm. And, so it's holding each other accountable for the classroom so that everybody can learn. As a result, and if you acknowledge the put downs, like Ms. McPherson was saying, and that's a tough one, we're recognizing that sometimes our kids don't even recognize what they're saying might be considered a put down. And if you say to them, that is a put down, look at this other person's face, how are they feeling? Then they go, oh, they start to recognize that, and then it's what kind of affirmation can you give to them, and then they can give a compliment, as opposed to something that they didn't even recognize might have been a put down. As we work through that, we're seeing that our classrooms the kids are better able to engage now. They have more of a voice. They feel like they do. And so it is opening up the classroom for more engagement because they're ready to take risks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I had a strange comment from my grandson this week. He was telling me that he's like, my teacher was acting really weird. She was treating me different, and it was a nice different. And then today it was, yeah, and I might be able to help the gym teacher teach a class. I'm like, what? So I see that, but I wonder, have the students been told that there was a shift? Like, hey, we've listened to your ideas, and you know what? We're going to make a shift because we value you, and you matter. Do they know that there's a shift, or is it just the staff that knows?
I would hope that the students know. When I've been into classrooms and I've talked with students about, we had a new 5th grade teacher start late, and I went into one of her, we departmentalize, so she has 3 homerooms that she works with, and I went in to help support the social contract with one of the classes. Ms. McPherson supported with 2, and the discussion was just about that. This is a change because we do want to hear their voices. This is their classroom, and they're engaged in it. When they know that what they're saying is going to be put on this board, and that everybody is responsible for following it, not just students, but the adults too. They start, they just take a different They just take a different attitude toward it. If some of our students don't know, that's just because it wasn't explained as appropriately as it could have been.
Right.
Because, yeah, we want to share that with them.
It's a good change.
Uh-huh.
But he was just like, she's acting weird, right? But it was a good change. I did have a question about the 40% reading deficiency.
Mhm.
Do we have data on the demographics? You know, are they Spanish speakers? Are they boys? Are they girls? Or, you know, are different grade levels? You know, I'm just wondering about that.
So we look at our students kinder through fifth. We really focus on kinder through third for SRD, for read plans for the state. And then if they leave third grade without benchmarking, then we're looking at fourth and fifth graders who continue on with the read plan. But we don't add any new students in fourth and fifth grade. When we look at our students demographically, there isn't anybody who just stands out. We have significant reading deficiencies in every grade level. There isn't just a grade level that stands out. There's not a group of students who stand out. It's not just boys or girls. It is pretty much even when we look at the data.
And then is there,
And I will give you some other data that what number you heard is typical for the state.
right, right.
Mhm.
And so I see the demographics of the school, and I just wonder, I mean, I know we're doing great work,
Mhm.
and I know we have great plans implemented,
Mhm.
and I'm just wondering, do we know, like, a cause, right? Is it because, you know, Spanish speakers at home and English speakers at school? You know, just those types of things.
Yeah, you know, when we look at our data, because the SRD is determined on one assessment, and that's the Acadians Reading Assessment. And so our students are given a few assessments based on their grade level. And how well they do on that, they get a composite score. And if they are well below, then they're considered SRD. But if we bring in other data and we look at students like their access scores, we have pretty good access scores. Our kids are growing, so our English speakers are growing. It may not transfer into that Acadians reading data right away because those are time tests. The kids have a minute to respond to certain criteria on their assessments. They might not be responding as quickly, but we see growth in their ability to speak, listen, read, and write. When we look at our kids' iReady data, we see a lot of students in the upper grade levels testing out of the phonemic awareness and phonics, which they should be, but we also brought in phonics instruction for last year for Tier 1 to try to close any gaps that we might have incurred from the previous year. We are continuing to do that this year, so there's a big push on the phonics. And so when you look at our iReady data, our kids are growing, so we see the growth. Some of our kids might be considered one grade level below, and so on iReady, but they're still well below on Acadians reading. And we think a lot of that really has to do with the time test, because they have to be quick at their responses. And sometimes it also has to do with their background knowledge with some of the assessments that they're given to read on Acadians reading. If they don't understand, like one of the stories is about a garden level, rooftop garden, and our kids don't know what a rooftop garden is. What does that mean? If they were in a different environment, sitting, in the middle of a city, they might know what a rooftop garden is. But there's things like that that can hinder some of those scores. So even though we have a high percentage of SRD, we also look at all the other data to see if our kids are in fact growing in different areas. And when they are, we celebrate that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just add, we have the highest mobility rate in the city. We have the most kids who don't go to preschool.
Mm-hmm.
And we have kids entering kindergarten who can't write their name and aren't potty trained. So to teach a kid who's 5 who can't write their name and isn't potty trained, they have a lot of barriers to get over to get to being able to read fluently. And so our teachers will out-teach anyone in any district, I will tell you that, but they're starting with kids who haven't had access early in education. And so we have to keep pushing preschool and quality preschool because our kids are starting behind, not intentionally, but they just haven't had access as early learners, and that makes a difference for their whole educational career.
Right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
One last. I applaud you for focusing on vocabulary. Your word of the day, how is that determined, and is it across all the grade levels?
It's across all grade levels, and the teachers pick it.
I think
So
that's great.
today, one of the words in 5th grade was surreal. So they had to learn SUR as the prefix, and then what real is, and then what is surreal, and then they had to apply it to some paintings that the teacher had to put up. So, yeah, but it's in every grade level.
Well, Ms. Brisky, it's been nice having you guys here this evening.
Thank you.
I have attended one of those breakfasts myself, and they are amazing.
Yep.
and to
Thank you.
see everyone just conversing with one another and really coming together as a community,
Yep.
it's amazing. Thank you to all of your wonderful staff for joining us this evening. Special thanks to Ms. Jones and Mr. Ortiz back there. I do see you there. Thank you guys for coming out to see us this evening. I do wish you all a safe trip home. And good night. Thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you.
The kid's going places, holding the door for everybody. Mr. Ortiz is amazing. All right, moving right along to item number 5, communicating with the public. Item 5.1, public comment. Members of the public who desire to address the board on any topic related to board work are welcome to do so at this time. Speakers must limit their remarks to not more than 3 minutes and appoint a spokesperson if the concern is a group concern. Personal attacks will not be allowed. Any focus on any individual and calling a person out by name will end the speaker's comment time period. The board will not respond to any public comment. We will review the information presented and may provide responses as needed at a later time. I have here Ms. Cara Morris and Mr. Robert Carr. When approaching the podium, if you would please repeat your name, your address, and the school that your student attends. And then you may begin.
Hi, my name's Cara Morris. Our son attends Ontario Elementary, and we live at 1940 Swearinger Drive here in
nice.
Colorado Springs.
Once you begin, the timer will also begin as well. Miss Norma, to my left, your right, will be keeping time. She will let you know when 2.5 minutes has elapsed. You may begin.
I am here today because our son and us were given an ultimatum, and he has now been at home for about a week because of a cell phone. I am fully aware of your guys' policies, and I do agree with them, but my child has not been on his phone in class. It has always been in his pocket, but it seems to be an educational distraction of his teachers seeing it in his pocket, and she has pulled him out of class numerous of times. The principal has pulled him out of class to state to him that if he doesn't respect his teacher by not leaving his cell phone at home or in his backpack or with her, that he won't make friends because his friends won't respect him because he does not respect his teacher. I highly disagree with that statement to say to a 10-year-old. They can take it very emotional, and the fact that he is not on his phone, I do not see an issue. I understand seeing this could also spark some, I don't understand why this person's even here, but at one point we argued the fact that kids should not wear pink hair or have piercings or tattoos because they are distraction, and I believe that those things are starting to change. It's just a form of expression, and there has been theft going on in his classroom, so I do not agree with keeping it in his backpack. And I was also told that they could keep the phone for the whole year if it becomes an issue constantly. And so that is why our son is told to keep it on his person. It is also a safety hazard for when he walks to and from school or when he is out somewhere. Last year, he did get beat up, and it was also filmed, so we were able to find the kids that did it to him. So having his phone is very important to us. But if he is out on his phone and not using it properly, I completely agree 100%, 200% that the phone should be taken from him. But it is not, and nor has it ever been out. It has always been in his pocket. The only person that is causing the issue is his teacher. Last year, he attended Stratmore Elementary. This was never an issue, and he had it on person throughout the whole year as well. So I'm very confused why he comes to a new school. Now it's an issue. It's never been out. It's never been used. The other problem that I have with this is that our son is diminishing in school. His education is not being focused on because all they're focusing on is the phone. I have no communication with Class Dojo because I do not have the money to pay for it. And for that reason, I have no communication with his teacher nor any understanding of his education. And I would like to address this because for this to happen, he won't go back to school until you guys figure something out, and we do as a team to help him.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Morris and Mr. Carr, for the information that you've given us. We will respond to you within the week, and hopefully we'll get your student back in school by Monday, of course.
Yes.
This will be expedient.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Thanksgiving break.
We got our break. Hopefully he will not be in school next week.
Soon, as soon as possible.
But as soon as possible. Thank you so much
Yes.
for this information. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We'll move right along to item number 6, superintendent consent agenda. And these items have already been reviewed, and we are going into an approval state for these items. Those up for consent agenda are item number 6.1, November 2022 personnel reports and comparison reports. Item 6.2, September 2022 financial statements. And for item 6.3, I would just need a motion to approve those items.
Mr. President, I move to approve the superintendent consent agenda items as stated.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Wills Hill, second by Mrs. Frazier. All those in favor?
Aye.
Items are so moved. And item number 7, the board consent agenda. Again, these items have been reviewed by the board. Item 7.1, approval of minutes, board meeting for October 20, 2022. Item 7.2, OE4, personnel administration monitoring report. Item 7.3, OE7, financial administration indicator report. Item 7.4, OE11, instructional program and monitoring. Item 7.5, results 1.1, reading indicators. And item 7.6, results 1.2, math indicators, as well as item 7.7, superintendent's contract. And for 7.8, I would just need a motion to approve those items as well.
Mr. President, I move to approve the board consent agenda items as stated.
I second.
Motion by Ms. Frazier, second by Mrs. Wills Hill. All of those in favor?
Aye.
Those items are so moved. Item number 8, monitoring board performance. Item 8.1, annual work plan. I do not believe we have any changes to that work plan.
Mrs. Armbide has to ask you a question about some fun.
Yes, there is in March, a board retreat, and
It's not on my birthday, is it?
it probably will be, if you want it, I'll be there to celebrate.
Okay, well then, yeah, we'll have cake.
Also, I understand that the board had discussed the possibility of having a 1.5-day retreat with Aspen Group. I didn't know whether or not you all had discussed it, had planned on it, or scheduled it. So I wanted to bring that.
We may have to do a little bit of research of schedules, because with Ms. English being a House legislator now, we may have a few collisions, with a few more collisions with our schedules. So we will come back to that at our combined meeting in December.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 8.2, legislative updates.
Just a couple quick updates. As you know, we have a new representative representing us in the House.
Yes, we
You
do.
might know her. And we have a new person representing us in the Senate. He's not new to us with Mr. Exum, but he is changing from representative to Senate, so he has a new role and it's a new district. We are excited that they are looking at a new school finance formula. We just hope that they have the right people on the committee. They've already established the budget committee for that. And so we know we have education-minded people that are helping lead that work, so we're hoping that will work. We also know immediately that we have free lunch for all students, which impacts every district but 4, including us, because we already do that for our kids. But it will change some of the financing and some of the process. So we're just monitoring to see how that comes out. But we know there will be more legislation in education than anything else, because that's been the trend.
Very nice. What a time for us to be living in, to have the superintendent of the year as our superintendent, as well as, yes, as well as a House legislator and a senator, all with hearts and minds in Harrison School District 2 at one time. Amazing. What a time we're living in right now. Couldn't be more proud. Definitely a staple of my life, just to say, hey, I saw this happen, you know. Amazing. I will move right along to item number 9, to adjourn, and I would just need a motion for our 9.1.
Mr. President, I make a move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Wills Hill, second by Ms. Frazier. All of those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Everyone drive safely, keep warm, and drink hot cocoa.